Let's take a look at the top five highest defensive graded players for the West Virginia Mountaineers in the game against Texas Tech. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads Webcast. As always, I'm your host, Jordan Cruz. Today, we're going to be talking about the top five highest graded players according to PFF for the West Virginia Mountaineers against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. But before we get into that, do me a favor while you're here, if you would, scroll down, hit that thumbs up, give us that like. That'll really help this video's performance and help future videos' performances here on the channel. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. And as always, one of the best ways to support us here at the Country Roads Webcast is to head to our merch store and get you something you might like there, such as a Country Roads Webcast sticker, hat, shirt, you name it. You can find it with the CRW logo there on it. And that's one of the best ways to support us as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, starting here at number five on defense, and it's a fresh face. I think when I did the offensive video, I talked about fresh faces for the Mountaineers, showing up, and that's definitely the case here with the defensive player grades as well. I know the Mountaineer defense really struggled in this game, especially in that second half of play, but in that second half, we did get to see a lot of freshmen get into the game, and one of those that finally did was Asani Redwood, and he pops up here as the fifth highest graded Mountaineer on defense in his limited action, coming out with a 67.9 defensive grade. Here's a guy that's really explosive in the Georgia high school football scene, picked up a ton of sacks, gained a ton of weight on his way to West Virginia to really bulk up and be ready to play. And I think he's ready to play now, it appears. So hopefully this is just a little taste of what we'll get to see of Asani Redwood, not only moving forward in his Mountaineer career, but hopefully see more of him across these final five games as well, as he comes out as the fifth highest graded Mountaineer on defense against Texas Tech with a 67.9 grade. At number four, another mainstay there on that defensive line that is here almost every week, it seems like, in these top player grades, and that is the senior Dante Stills, the super senior Dante Stills, I should say, coming out with a 69.4 grade in this one. You can't say enough about Dante Stills. He battles double teams every week. Seems like we're talking about him getting held, excuse me, and the refs not calling it over and over again because he's just such a force. I think they could call that almost every play. He's either getting double teamed or getting held or both, but he's a guy that always seems to be doing his job because he's always highly graded in these PFF grades and has been here almost every week for the Mountaineers. And I don't think that will subside moving forward. I expect to see him again for the remainder of this season. But this week he is fourth following the Texas Tech game with a 69.4 grade. At number three is a guy that's really came on in recent weeks for the Mountaineers when they needed help at linebacker, and that's Eggsbury Lowe with the 73.3 defensive grade, coming out as the third highest graded Mountaineer on defense in this one. He's really filled in nicely. I think Lance Dixon, started to fall back a little bit, I guess, and then underwent a position change, been playing more of that spear role for West Virginia when we have seen him. Barely saw him at all against Texas Tech, which means we saw a lot of Eggsbury Lowe, and we've been seeing more of him recently. And it's been paying off. He's been performing pretty well in that linebacker room. Here he pops up this week as the third highest graded Mountaineer with a 73.3 grade, and the Mountaineers will need more performances like him as they need the back half of that defense to continue to be strong and improve if they want to have a chance going out these final five games. And then our top two, number two here, free safety Aubrey Burks, and he's a guy who's really popped out. I think if you're been rewatching or what when you've watched the games or if you've gone back and rewatched them, I think he's been popping out past 2 or 3 weeks. Even in this game against Texas Tech on their opening drive, he had a chance on third down. He played a route beautifully, jumped it. Only thing he didn't do was haul in the pass for the interception, but it was a great play other than that. And I think he's been around the ball a lot these past 2 weeks, and that's shown up in the PFF grades. And that's the case again this week with a really high grade, coming out as the second highest graded Mountaineer with a 76.5 grade. And here's the big shocker at number one for the Mountaineers, 80.2 defensive grade. I bet you can't guess who it is. Trey Lathan, the true freshman linebacker, actually is the highest grade of Mountaineer on defense against Texas Tech. I know people probably didn't see that one coming. He didn't play that many snaps. I believe it was under 20 or right at 20 in this game against Texas Tech. and he, came in and spelled Lee Koba, something we haven't seen a lot all season is Lee Koba come out of the game, but he had to at some point in this one and actually went to the locker room, never disclosed why that was, but ended up coming, right back not after long. But when he was gone, Trey Latham was out there and then got in again late in the game and apparently graded out really well. And that's something you really want to see. One of the highest rated recruits in this most recent recruiting class for the Mountaineers overall, not only at the linebacker position. So he's a guy that we thought would have a bright future, didn't know how long it would take, but hopefully he's really coming on now because you need somebody to spell Lee Koba and hopefully get on the field. And like I said, the back half of this defense, I think anything's up for grabs right now with how poorly that back seven has played, linebackers and defensive backs together. So Trey Lathan definitely has a chance to earn some playing time in this latter portion of the season and really set him up for future success throughout his Mountaineer career. And his debut was definitely a heck of a performance, as you see there, an awesome grade, over 80 plus, with an 80.2 defensive grade to come out as the highest graded Mountaineer on defense in the game against Texas Tech. So there you have it, the top 5 highest graded Mountaineers on defense in the loss against Texas Tech. I know this video is coming a little bit later than usual, but like I said, not always a bad thing. Sometimes PFF does those regrades on Tuesday, so getting it out a little bit later in the week this time, but I'm not necessarily upset about it. I think this is a game we all kind of want to take a step back from. You probably don't want to hear about the Texas Tech game anymore, but that's why I really wasn't talking about the game too much, just the players that popped up on these grades and a little bit about them and where they're at this season and moving forward in their Mountaineer careers. Having said that, be on the lookout for this video again. I'm trying to continue to do this series for the final 5 games of the Mountaineer season. So following the TCU game, I'll have the player grades videos out, have the snap counts videos out, and of course we'll have, our post-game content all over that we do here on the Country Roads Webcast channel. Really appreciate you guys tuning into that and any of our other Mountaineer football content or Mountaineer sports content that you choose to tune into. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz. And until next time, let's go, Mountaineers.